Hi, I'm Celine. I'm currently a sophomore student at Stern, and last year I was at CAS, so I did an internal transfer from CAS to Stern, and I'm also a new YouTuber, so I really wanted to make this video for anyone out there who is looking for a helpful resource, and hopefully I can be one, because while I was applying, for an internal transfer, honestly the only good resources I could find were a couple like Reddit posts, and I didn't really find a lot of YouTube videos, so I wanted to make one. And I have a lot of notes on my laptop here, so I'm going to be referring to them. And a little disclaimer, obviously everything that I will be mentioning in this video are my own like experiences and thoughts and opinions. So this whole video shouldn't be the end-all be-all resource for you. But yeah, hopefully it will be helpful, and let's get started. So first, let's talk logistics and requirements. How do you actually apply for an internal transfer? Well, you complete the NYU undergraduate internal transfer application, which I will link down below. It's a mouthful, but it's literally just a form. You basically log into your NYU account with your net ID, and the form asks you about which school you want to apply to, the term you want to start at, your cumulative GPA, your current school and major, and I don't know if this is a new addition or I just said no to it last year. But if you're interested in applying to another school as a second choice, you can also do that. And there are 3 personal statement questions that I will talk about later. So the deadline to submit the form for spring start, it's November 1st, and for summer or fall start, it's March 1st. However, it says on the Stern website that to be considered as a transfer applicant to Stern, you must apply for the fall semester only. So I'm not really sure if you can apply for a spring or summer start. I applied for a fall start. You also have to be in your first year or sophomore year, so you can be a sophomore or a junior at Stern. You also have to have completed or be in the process of completing the required coursework, which leads us perfectly to the next segment, which is my story, stats, and the requirements. So why did I even apply for an internal transfer? Well, last year at the end of my first semester, I was a psych major, and I realized that I really saw myself working in the entertainment or in the marketing industry rather than in the field of psychology. I also was a psych major, but I was planning on doing a minor in business studies, and I was like, you know what? Let me just study the intersection of those two, and also hopefully I'm gonna add a minor in producing or in BEMT to my program. So I was like, I want to transfer. You really want to ask yourself if you want to transfer at the end of the first semester of your freshman year before the second semester, because you want to obviously pick out classes accordingly and form your schedule for the second semester accordingly. So in terms of prerequisites, I literally got these from the website. I will link all of these things down below. For your sophomore year, so if you're a freshman, you have to take writing the essay as well as calculus 1. But if you're currently a sophomore and you're applying for your junior year, you have to take writing the essay, calc 1, introductory level microecon class, stats and regression, as well as financial accounting. The only thing is though, from personal experience and from the people that I've actually spoken to in the internal transfer orientation meetings that they had here, so people who have also successfully transferred to Stern, we've all pretty much taken the requirements for your junior year as well. So I'm not really sure if you're a sophomore that's watching this video for your junior year. I'm guessing you'll probably have to take additional business courses that are geared towards your concentration probably. But if you're a freshman and you're applying for your sophomore year, you should be taking introductory level microecon, stats and regression, financial accounting as well. You don't have to take all of them, but take a couple more as well, not just writing the essay and calc 1. So let's look at my schedule. So for fall 2020, my freshman year, I took writing the essay, stats for the behavioral sciences, cultures and context, Indigenous Australia, and I also took an elective called Child of Divorce, which was really good. Anyway, basically, I mean, at the beginning of my freshman year, I obviously didn't like really think about transferring, but the cool thing about like transferring into Stern, I think, is the fact that we have a liberal arts score on top of like business rules core or whatever like other business scores, because I have like received credits for all like writing the essay, stats, and cultures and context, because there are also like requirements for first year students at Stern as well. And for the second semester, so spring 2021, I took Principles of Financial Accounting, Intro to Microecon, Calculus 1, and first year seminar Happiness in Film, which is like a CAS requirement class. So out of these classes, definitely like you have to take writing the essay, stats, cultures and context, Principles of Financial Accounting, and Intro to Microecon, as well as Calculus 1. I mean, obviously you don't have to like take all of these, but if you want to like increase the chances of you getting in, then these courses would like fulfill a lot of like requirements, especially like Principles of Financial Accounting. That's a very important class to take in your second semester. Also, I do want to say that I took Intro to Microecon, but right now at Stern, I'm taking Microecon with Algebra. So when you get into Stern, the Intro to Microecon course will unfortunately not fulfill the Microecon requirement at Stern. So it will like be counted towards an elective, which is kind of sad, but yeah, I just also like wanted to put that out there. Also, an important note to keep in mind is that all of the classes that you're taking in your second semester will obviously like not have finalized before you apply, like before you submit your application. And so instead of like a letter grade on your transcript, it'll say IP next to them, like in progress. However, and I actually even like emailed the like admissions office saying like, can you see the first midterm grades that my professors have entered? And yeah, they can. Like they can actually see the first midterm grades and then like make a judgment of like how you're going to do in the classes that Stern really actually cares about. So I think it's really, really important to get like all A's if you can on the first midterms for your second term classes, if that makes sense. Now let's talk GPA. Obviously it needs to be high. You need like an at least 3.8 if I'm not mistaken to be able to apply. However, you don't need a 4.0. Like I cannot stress this enough. I had a 3.92 GPA when I applied, so at the end of my first semester. And honestly, like most of the people that I've talked to in the transfer internal transfer orientations, they've also had like around the same GPA as I did. And so you definitely do not need to have like a 4.0. Obviously it would help, but like it's not the end all be all deal breaker. Now let's talk about the personal statement, which is probably going to be my favorite segment of the video, because I think your essay answers are so important, because they are the things that will set you apart from other applicants if you really like manage to like showcase your own true passions and why you want to transfer to Stern. Also, side note, while like deciding on whether I want to actually like transfer or not, I had a lot of like existential crisis moments. And I think a good way to like realize and understand if you really want to transfer or not is to actually like answer these questions in a very truthful way, because I think you never want to alter your personality or your passions in order to fit like a certain mold or a certain like student profile that you think that school is looking for. You want your passions and the school's mission to align and happen like naturally. And if it happens, I think that's a very good indicator that you're on the right path. So a little like reassuring tip, I guess. So there are 3 questions in the application. What has changed since your enrollment in your current program that has prompted you to seek an internal transfer admission? And here I talked about my thought process while applying to NYU as a psych major and how my interests have changed. Obviously, like, I had to acknowledge the fact that we were in the middle of a pandemic, and that's why I said, like, I want a more hands-on experience and also like more specialization in my program, because like I said, I was going to do a psych major and a business studies minor, but I wanted to like study the intersection of both. I also talked about my prior advertising experience, like the summer school that I did at Barnard College. I also mentioned some keywords from the Stern website, such as research in the industry, tackling real world matters in the classroom. I think it's really important to reflect that you've done your research and you've actually visited the Stern website, which sounds like a no-brainer, but I think because it's available for everyone to see, a lot of people don't include them, but I think it's important to include them. I also talked about the lack of creativity in my current program that I was longing for, and how the pandemic has made me realize that the marketing industry is incredibly dynamic. TikTok, I know, and I want to be at the forefront of change. So the second question is, what have you been doing to prepare to study in your proposed new school or college and/or major? And I mentioned how I altered my class schedule for my second semester so that I can have a smooth transition. I mentioned 2 Stern clubs, Net Impact and Marketing Society. Honestly, you don't have to be involved in Stern organizations. I mean, I did the whole year remotely, so from Turkey. So I had a lot of hardship with the time differences and everything, so I wasn't actually involved in the clubs. But I did mention that I was reading their blog posts, and I was going to be involved in them in my sophomore year if they accepted me. And actually, I am involved in the marketing society, so yay. I also talked about how I was trying to learn more about editing softwares like Photoshop and InDesign. And I think this is really a good point. I'm trying to evaluate my application from an admissions officer point of view. I think this really shows that I'm actually passionate and curious about marketing, because I'm devoting my free time into, acquiring skills that will be helpful in my future job or in the field of marketing. And so I'm not saying that everyone should write this, but if you love learning about trading or the stock market, I think you should also mention that as well. New York City sounds. And finally, the last question is, briefly describe how you feel your educational goals can be better achieved in this program of study. And I mentioned the sample 4-year curriculum sheets, which I will also link it down below. I think everyone should look into that to plan your schedule. And I mentioned how I love that they were giving us a liberal arts core as well as electives, so we could become a more well-rounded individual and not just a finance bro, basically. But I also mentioned the International Studies program at Stern. And if you don't know what this is, it's basically it's a course about principles of international economics and trade, and you take it during the spring semester of your junior year, and you go to another country, and it's all because of the very generous alumni of Stern. I mean, that's why we literally have the best facilities, toilets and stuff on campus anyway. But I would encourage you to mention Stern specific programs that really excite you and motivate you. Again, instead of just saying study away, maybe you could mention this program, or you could mention IBEX if that's IBEX if that's also interesting to you. Is basically an exchange program. You go to and you enroll in another business school across the world, which I think is pretty cool. And lastly, I mentioned my academic plan, concentration marketing with maybe a co-concentration stats, and the luxury marketing track. So in terms of the logistics of the essay questions, I don't really know if there is a word limit. I don't think there is one. But for your reference, I wrote 2 to 3 good sized paragraphs for the questions about all the things that I just mentioned. And I also saw on Reddit that someone said to submit your essay answers as early as the beginning of February. I kind of agree. I submitted the whole entire like application in mid-February. I don't think it's like has to be super early. I just like I wrote the whole thing in one day, but I was thinking about the answers for like weeks, and I was like writing stuff and I was like collecting information much earlier. Also, don't over edit or overthink your essay answers, because you need to like know when to stop and submit, which is like a struggle for me. And that like leads me to the final remarks of this video, which is everything happens for a reason, and if something is meant to be, it'll be. Like literally, I'm a true believer of both of these quotes. And so if you like are destined to get in, you will. Because I know like there's a lot of, because when I was applying as well, I was like, I'm not gonna get in, like what, like the the stats work against me. It's like super competitive, and it is. But if you have a good GPA, if your essay answers are authentic and good, I think like you should be good, and I think like you should get in. But yeah, please leave a comment down below or DM me on Instagram if you have any like further specific questions. I hope this video was helpful. And yeah, like I'll be really happy to help. I'm just manifesting that everyone who watches this video right now will get into Stern. I hope that the outcome that is the best for you and will make you the like happiest and most successful will happen. And also like if you're a current student at Stern who has like gone through this transfer process, or just like want to like leave tips down below, please do, so we can all help each other. If you like this video, subscribe, give it a like, you know the deal. And I'll see you next week. Bye.